Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. It's time to experience what's possible. So, what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we're helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the authors of one of our newest books. This one is called The Intuitive Entrepreneur: Deeper Connections for Soul-Driven Success. I've got three amazing co-authors here today. And before I introduce them a little bit more specifically, I want to give a big shout out to our lead author, Deb DeCelle. Deb, you had a big mission and vision for this book. Thank you so much for who you are and what you do in the world, and for gathering such a stellar cast of expert co-authors together. This book is such a gift. Can you imagine having this in the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, ladies? Like, oh my gosh, where we could go with that, right? So thanks to Deb. And let me tell you a little bit about who I have here today. Kristen Rosmorduk is a certified professional intuitive coach, organizational effectiveness pro, and energy healer. She's dedicated to helping people connect with their hearts, uncover their innate talents, and live abundant, happy lives. Levante White is the founder and CEO of Lighthouse Effect, where they offer gentle guidance through life's most transformative moments. And Liz Goal Lerner is here. She's an artist, spiritual teacher, communication expert, energy healer, transformational coach, and psychotherapist. Welcome, ladies. We're going to start with Kristen today. Kristen, tell me a little bit about your why behind this chapter.
So when I was invited to participate in this phenomenal project, the first thing that popped into my head was a tool that my mother taught me when I was a kid. And I had a habit of having a very chaotic brain, thinking about all kinds of things and having a hard time making decisions, but really having an excellent intuitive compass. But it was sometimes difficult for me throughout childhood and adulthood to access that compass. So I really wanted to share that story with people because I've worked with a lot of people that have a hard time also accessing their intuitive compass. They might be really smart, very driven, but there's a lot of static in our lives. Let's face it, right? There's a lot of things that can affect how we think about things or where we want to go or other people's opinions. So when I thought about this chapter, I just wanted to share that you can overcome some of that chaotic thought with a very simple. It's an exercise, but it is somewhat of a meditation. And a lot of people that I've worked with in my career as a coach kind of shy away from meditation and go, I don't have enough time to do that. So I wanted to provide something that was really simple and easy and accessible for people to do very quickly. And it was a training tool that to give them a start. And even if you're the best energy healer in the world and you're very experienced in it, it's a very simple tool. And so that was what I really wanted to share. That was the why behind it is to make it accessible for people so that they can also calm their chaotic thoughts and all of the things that they have to grapple with in terms of parental, spouse, children, job things that are really pushing stuff onto them and figure out what really made their heart sing. So that's why I did it.
So when you think back to when you were using this tool for yourself, maybe those examples of moments where you had that static, can you help us understand a little bit more about like the results you started to get for yourself, like a personal example?
Sure. So thank God I had the mother that I had because she was into alternative therapies and she was an astrologer. I was fairly driven, but also I was ADD, which I didn't know. I wasn't diagnosed until as an adult. And so I'd often come into things, well, I want to go do this or I want to go do that. The example I use in the book is I went to a very large Big Ten university because of external reasons, and nobody forced me to do it. It was my thought of what I needed to be doing. I was so unhappy there, Laura. I was so unhappy. And I was gonna like, stick it out, stick it out, stick it out. But I felt like I was withering on the vine. And it got to a point where push came to shove, and I was like grappling with an eating disorder. My grades were failing. And it was spring break, my third year. So essentially, I had what, a year and a quarter to go. And my dad was gone on a business trip, and I was at home, and I was like, "Mom, I'm so unhappy." I was crying all the time, and she said, "Go ahead, try that. It's basically center yourself, take some deep breaths, learn where you feel the answer in your body." And the answer came out to me. So again, it took more than just a second of me telling the story. She said, "How do you feel? Where do you feel it in your body? What do you want to do?" And I said, "I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back after spring break." I had already signed up for classes, and the feeling of relief and centeredness, and I just knew, and it was scary because I had already signed up. They put a lot of money into this. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had an apartment that I had a commitment to. And once I made that decision and that commitment to myself, it's like the whole world opened up, Laura. We immediately found somebody like two-thirds through the year who needed an apartment. So she took over my apartment. I went home. I stayed home for about, I don't know, 4 months, and then I found another smaller school close to home. So I've used that technique multiple times, like in making job decisions. Years ago, there was I wanted to work at AOL years and years ago, and I was completely in a different industry. And it took me a long time to get in, but I finally got in. And when you find out, you know, all of the negative reasons that will keep you from doing something, just getting yourself centered and being open to what that path is, even though there might be seemingly roadblocks in your life, it really opens up things in ways that you don't expect them to. So I've used this over and over and over again. I mean, I think I've even used it in a marriage. And I don't want to tell people to really go ahead and do this, but I've used it you know, um, in my personal career, et cetera, in my corporate career, I should say. Um, but it works. You build up the muscle. You use
Yes.
simple things first.
Yes, and I can't wait for people to be walked through it, which is one of the gifts everybody is giving in this book, you guys, because the stories will heal you alone. But then when these experts step up into master teacher mode, get ready to have your life changed, right? Kristen, thank you for saying yes to this and for being here today.
Thank you.
Levante, tell us a little bit of the why behind your chapter.
Thank you, Laura. Well, my name is Levante, everyone. I am the CEO and founder of Lighthouse Effect. And my why, that's an interesting question. The trajectory that my life was on at the time that I founded Lighthouse Effect is essentially my why. I nursed 15 plus years. And then I was actually in opening another business in the middle of starting that up. And Lighthouse Effect just kind of fell into my lap. And I talk a little bit about my why and my story in chapter 11 of our book. And it really was what I was guided to do. Um, when I was asked to do the project, I was taken aback um, a little bit because I just didn't feel as though I possessed, I guess, the skill set. I felt like everyone was so experienced, much more experienced than I am. But after doing the project, I understand why I needed to do it, and it is to bring comfort and guidance to those who seem lost, or at a loss in life and navigating life. Um, especially if they've lost those that are closest to them. But they have no idea that death is literally the beginning, and you can still receive guidance from those loved ones. No matter what you're doing or going through in this lifetime on this side of the veil, there's so many um, ancestors and so many loved ones on the other side who are trying to help navigate you through life and make it a little bit easier. But I myself was lost at the time that I was asked to do this, at the time that I opened and founded my business. So it's just to help those, honestly, that are needing extra guidance and needing some stability and some tools to navigate through life, especially when our loved ones and the ones that are dearest to us are on the other side.
So I know there's a lot of people that are going to be interested in this particular topic, but not feel like they have access. Like I always would hear people say, oh gosh, she can do that, but I can't do that. Like, how,
Right.
And I would imagine you would say everyone has a way to do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first little step for somebody that you might say, hey, first do this to set this up for them?
Honestly, I would say the very first thing that you can do, even if you don't have to be a believer, right? Just find that one safe ancestor that you hold close and you love beyond time, and it transcends time and space, and you talk to that person. Just wake up and talk to that person and ask that person to, or ask that soul to give you a sign. Hey, if you hear me, give me a sign that you hear me. Let me see 3 yellow trucks go by outside in traffic, right? Or let me see a feather today if you hear me. But just find that safe someone that is not, is no longer with us here, and just ask for signs and continue to talk to that person and develop a new relationship, right? Because now they're on the other side. So it's going to be new for them too, right? But just find that one safe person and just talk to them daily and ask for validation, ask for signs that they hear you.
I love that so much. Now we are all going to be seeing yellow trucks. Watch out. That's going to be fun.
For sure.
Levante, thank you for
Of
saying yes
course.
to this and for being here today.
It's my pleasure.
So, all right, Liz, your turn. Tell us some of your why behind your chapter.
So my chapter is chapter 7, Quantum Presence Technique, Your Doorway to Business Success. And the why really has to do with personal and business. So when we really understand how to get rid of the noise and listen to the deep voice within around what our true heart wants to do, and really listen to the voice instead of ignore the voice, be afraid of the voice. If we just come back in and get in the body and get in the moment, really understand, then we can open a doorway. And so the technique that I'm teaching in the book, my quantum presence technique, I believe the body is the doorway. And that when we get completely into the body and into the moment, we understand how to navigate the worries of the future or the conversations in our head about the past, and we find a moment of clarity, we can actually have infinite power and resource and guidance and freedom to choose. So I'm all about choice.
Well, I think the tough part comes when you think about how so many of us were conditioned right out of our bodies. We're conditioned not to feel. So I have like a similar question for you. Like if you were just going to give us a little baby step back in, because for some of us, it hasn't been safe in there. And you're so good at this, Liz. What would you tell that person? Like, how can they just start to move back in?
So I think there's kind of a two-part to your question. I think the quick, easy, right away piece to just being actually present in the body without worrying too much about how it's going to feel is paying attention to your feet, putting
Mm,
all your attention on your feet connected to the earth. If someone has their attention on their feet, they're not going to be having it on anything else, even what it feels like to be in the body. Just here, just now. I think when we talk about, you bring up such an important point about safety in the body. Like for many reasons, different people don't feel safe in the body. And, the reflex of, back in caveman times, we were all about fight or flight. We were all about like, I'm going to survive. I'm going to do what the body's going to take over. And now we act the same way no matter what. We freeze, we flee. But if we really notice in the moment if we are safe where we are, then that's our truth. The body knows in that moment if we're safe. So it doesn't mean that we've always been safe. It doesn't mean that we're not worried about potentially not being safe, but in that moment, you are safe. If you can do what I'm asking you to do, then in that moment you're okay. So just knowing that that's possible is an incredible freedom.
Yeah, I think that piece is very powerful, even for some people, just understanding that that's a possibility. And even just holding the idea gets them a little bit closer, which is amazing, I have such a big thank you to all three of you for being here and taking my challenge on. And that was like, get your vulnerable stories on those pages for people to really understand who you are. And you all did that so brilliantly, but you all are stepping up with your teachings. You've been around a minute and you have some things to teach and to share. And these master teachings on being an intuitive entrepreneur is going to lead me into this next question I have for all of you. This isn't business as usual. This is not ordinary entrepreneurship, right? So Levante, I'm going to come to you first for this one. What does it even mean to you to be an intuitive entrepreneur? How are you using those superpowers on the day to day?
well, I think first off, to be an intuitive entrepreneur means to understand and be aware that you do have a sixth sense and developing that and utilizing that. A lot of people, I think it starts there. A lot of people don't even want to recognize that this is something that everyone has, right? And it's even if they somehow become a little bit aware of it, they, become hesitant and timid and a little nervous to explore it or to develop it. So I think first it starts off with becoming aware that you have that sixth sense and being willing to develop that sixth sense and implement that into making decisions in everyday life, not just entrepreneurship. But the entrepreneurship piece is a bonus, right? Let's utilize this to navigate my own, financial freedom in a sense, my own, how can I help to live out my purpose and also implement and utilize this newfound intuitiveness and developing that, not just your intuitive ability but also your entrepreneurship skills. They go hand in hand. And so I utilize my intuitiveness with everything that I do, not just entrepreneurship, but utilizing it has definitely opened doors for me and opportunities for me that had I not used it, I know I would not be where I am today. So I utilize it with everything, but entrepreneurship, I don't take the next steps without acknowledging my intuitiveness.
I love how you kicked that question off for everybody. It was powerful, and I think everyone's going to be nodding their head to, yes, this is, and it takes something to get to that spot. I'm going to pop over to you, Liz, on this one. What does it mean to you to be intuitive when it comes to being an entrepreneur?
So I want to just piggyback on something Levante said, because I think it's the trust in it too, the trying it, but then the trusting it.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes you have to give it a shot a few times to see what that, really is, what it really looks like. But for me, I would say that people I decide to meet with, places I go, retreats I might participate in, um, adventures and ventures that I can feel vibrate in a particular resonance in my body is going to perk my ears up to, okay, how is this serving my purpose on the planet? This entrepreneurial adventure, or what I'm here to do. And it's always going to, when I have followed that, sometimes it's, oh, I need to be here and I don't know why, but I'm going. Um, and then some doorway opens or some person comes across my path that leads me to the next piece that I might not expect to be the next entrepreneurial piece, but will serve that piece.
Mhm.
So it's kind of an interesting mix for me, but I like to tune in.
I love I don't know why I'm supposed to be here, but I'm going. Like, I just trust it.
I
Like, I can
know.
feel the feeling. I think everybody here has had that feeling. And I think once you have something happen as a result of it, the momentum builds, and you then just trust it without knowing why. Building the trust is such a big part of this. It has been for me. So Kristen, how would you answer this one? What is that piece for you in terms of, like, what does it even mean on your day-to-day to be intuitive in your business?
I don't know how I can improve upon what they just said. Because I would agree with both. For me, it is also following, I would say, gut feelings. That's how intuition was really on the street. It's considered gut feelings, and I would say I do the same thing. Is like I picked myself up and moved from the East Coast to Denver, or the Denver area. My sister's here, but I was like, why am I doing that? I have a house there. Well, it led me to this book, right? And it led me to other people, like a whole group of people, and it's opening up a whole bunch of other things. So I would say that I use it to navigate my own self. And to your point, Laura, there's some fear around it initially. You have to build the muscle. I talk about that. And by the way, I wrote chapter 4. You have to build the muscle so that you trust it and get over the fear. Um, but I really think at a certain point for me, it became, I can't do anything else. Like,
Mm.
I would experiment with, okay, I'm being guided internally to go do this, but my brain says go do this. And I went and did the brain thing, and it didn't turn out right. And I wish I could think of an example for you, but I have a lot of missteps in my life where my intuition really was leading me in the right direction, and you just sort of like walk into a wall enough times, and then you go, okay, I have a very good intuitive compass, and a set of guides that guide me, and I will honor them and follow them, and it's using that in terms of the groups that you want to participate with, the investments, either financially or of your time that you want to go with. It's also knowing when, oh, this doesn't really feel right over here. It looks all shiny and nice. but it really doesn't feel right. So I won't go over there. I've had situations like that with like jobs or people I've been connected with. So it's really just getting comfortable with using that compass and sometimes doing some really seemingly outrageous things. My sister will say to me every once in a while, "You're killing me, Smalls. I know you know where you're going, but you're killing me." Like, what you're doing is like, and I'm like, well, lo and behold, it turns out.
Yes, all of that. The, you know, I think if I was going to sum it up in a sentence, my intuition has helped me set boundaries in my business. And that
Mm.
has been an extremely healthy thing for me. All right, let's talk about these beautiful tools. Liz, I'm coming to you first on this. What's the most important thing you want people to know about this quantum presence technique? This is all y'all's chance to talk about the tool specifically.
In terms of about it, I want people to know that it is simple, that a lot of pieces, a lot of tools, a lot of things we teach people sound complicated, but they're not. And I think that the idea that we have to work really, really hard to make something happen um, dissuades people from actually getting the joke and doing what they need to do really, really simply. So in my tool, again, it starts with putting your attention on your feet because that's the simplest possible place to start. And I don't know, Laura, did you want sort of a description of the tool or how would you like
I'm not
here?
going to ask for that right now because people are going to be able to read and we want them to go buy the book today. You guys need to hop over right this moment if you are intrigued and grab the intuitive entrepreneur. No, I really just was after, like, you all have master tools and master teachings. And if I was going to talk about the most important thing I want people to know about writing as a path to healing, it would be that you create a witness on the page for yourself. And that one thing is life changing. And that's it. It's a simple, a simple thing. Anything else you want to add, Liz?
Yeah, so from that perspective, I would say that this tool is such a joyful and powerful tool because it brings people into total alignment. And from that place, you can really choose your joy.
Mm-hmm. And these are not little things. These are big potatoes things, you guys. And, I think the more simple it is, the more powerful it can be. So I love that so much. Okay, Kristen, your turn on this one. You each have these beautiful tools that you're teaching in your chapters. What's the most important thing you want people to know about that building that heart-centered intuition?
I would say that it's the same thing, and it's very simple and accessible. Liz talks about focusing on your feet. In mine, it's a breath technique that I actually learned in a yoga class. So I kind of molded my tool over the years, so to speak. And it's really to get you out of your head into the rest and reset. And again, I can't stress how important it is for simplicity. Um, and you can always access your breath. And you can do it because I came from corporate and I had a tendency to work with a lot of corporate people who are now going back to work and they're in the office and they might need to be able to access something where they can just center themselves simply. I really wanted people the same thing. It's to know that it was simple and you didn't have to go do like a headstand in yoga class. You could just simply take a breath. Well, it's a series of breaths, center yourself, and help you make a decision or connect with your heart-centered wisdom. So it's the same thing. And isn't that beautiful how that it is all about simplicity and reality, and making it accessible for anybody. I don't want anybody to feel intimidated that they have to do anything magical or complicated, to your point, Laura.
Well, and hence one of the reasons for these beautiful books is putting these simple tools in people's hands and giving them a whole, variety of different kinds of opportunities. Levante, you're going to close us out today with yours. What's the most important thing you want people to know about hearing the whispers of their loved ones from beyond?
Yeah, I think the most important thing, Laura, is of course, to Liz and Miss Kristen's points, it is easy, it is accessible, and it is effective. But I also want them, while it is sacred and it's magical and it's mystical to communicate and venerate your ancestors, I want them to understand that it is also fun. Make it fun, make it your own. As you're talking to your loved one, these are people that most of them you probably have known in this lifetime, right? Your mom, your siblings, your child, grandparents. So make it fun. Talk about things that they could understand and they would relate to. And oh my God, did you see what happened with Uncle Ray? He fell on his behind the other day. You know what I mean? Just I knew it was coming. He's been stubborn lately. You know what I mean? Like, have fun with it. Make it your own. Be original. You don't have to do things the way everybody else does it to the T. And so, remember they had personalities and bring some humor and some laughter into it. You don't have to do it the way I do it specifically. But have fun and just make smart choices with your requests from certain loved ones.
Have fun, make smart choices. I think that's great
Yeah.
life advice across the board.
Right.
Yes.
Levante, Liz, Kristen, thank you, all three of you, so much for what you do in the
Sure.
world. And thank you for being here today to share it with everyone.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
So if you guys can't tell already that this is way more than a book, this is a very generous community. You might have heard something today that made you curious. Maybe you've got a question or you want to carry on the conversation. Come on down into the show notes. I have everybody here hooked up with their sites. Go explore all of the amazing things that they're up to. They're there for you. This community will answer questions and carry on those conversations. They're there to support your next steps on this journey. We hope you go over to Amazon and buy the book. It's ready to roll. We've got the link down below for that. And lastly, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. It is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.
Thank you.